everybody, and welcome to Law of Attraction 2.0, the Serious Upgrade, also known as Spiritual Straight Talk with GP Walsh and Karen Scarpula. But the reason you're hearing me make that introduction tonight is because the lovely Ms. Scarpula is at an event, command performance for a queen or something like that. And so I am here on my own tonight. And so we're going to kind of have an old time, not that old, Conversations with G show. And I have some questions from email, and I'm going to take questions from all the people who have called in. I've had some emails from people who said they missed the old format, and I kind of miss it a bit too. It was kind of fun to just put my feet up and sit back and see what happens. But all things do change. Things come and go. It's just the nature of things. But I want to thank everybody who is here tonight. I can see the crowd filling up on my little console here, and I'm anxious to take questions from people and to just kind of be spontaneous. There's no particular subject for tonight. Nothing in particular I have to say, no particular axe I have to grind. So I'm going to invite, first off, anybody who's here who might have a question. I'll get right into it. If you want to just press *6, I'm happy to start right off the bat with a question from the audience. No opening monologue or anything. We have a question here from Tanya in 412 area code.
Wow, that was fast.
How about
Hi.
it? You just got here, press the button, and there you are.
Yeah. I just started listening to you, and I'm really inspired, and I feel like I'm breaking through in a different way.
Cool.
Here's my, I am writing a book. I just actually said those words. And I write,
I guess that
I write a little bit.
I guess
It's been
that
really
makes you
hard
an
for me.
author,
And I
huh?
think it's, I don't know what the stickiness is, but I have this new thing where I'm writing 369, so I only have to write 3 words, 6 words, 9 words, and then I repeat 369. And I invariably write more than that. But I don't know I think I'd like to sit down and write in blocks of time. But when I schedule a space to do that, it doesn't happen. I either eat a whole bunch, or I go to a yoga practice, or I call up somebody, or I don't do it. And I don't know why.
Okay, good. How important is this book to you?
Oh, my gosh. It's so important.
Okay. And how long have you been wanting to write it?
5 years.
Okay. And how important is it to you that other people read what you have to say?
Very important.
Good. So you believe in the message.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Okay. All right. Inner resistance, procrastination, putting things off is a solution. It is not the problem. Okay? There's another problem that your nervous system has created a solution for. And that solution helps you to avoid the direct confrontation with something that this book represents. If you've been putting it off for 5 years, and it's important to you, and you truly believe in the message, and you think this message is important for the whole world, and I have no doubt that it is, then the question is, what is it that my nervous system is trying to protect me from? What is the danger that it perceives that I am not aware of?
Well, it's a good thing I did that allowing thing, huh? That allowing.
Yes, it is. A very good thing. Now, don't go to your head, okay? Even right.
Yeah, I feel it in
right
my
now.
stomach.
Okay, you feel it in your stomach. What part of your stomach? Is it like up up at the solar plexus below your ribs, or like down
You
by
know
your
what? It's
down
in
by
the
your
solar
navel?
plexus. At the same time, I feel my heart beating fast.
Your heart beating.
And this is also weird. I feel like I'm getting a tickle in my throat.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Is there anything controversial in the book that you're going to write, or is it a spiritual book? Is it a self-help book?
No, it is. It's a it's a book called, or I'm seeing it as a survival guide to caregiving for difficult parents or people. Or
Oh wow, that's a very important subject.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very important subject. Yeah.
And timely. So there's pressure.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So why don't you want to be a star?
Oh God, you just made my heart jump out of my chest. Ah, boy.
Well, put it back in and answer the question.
Okay. I don't want people to see me.
Right.
Oh God.
Yeah, you don't want people to see you. Right. It's kind of hard to put a book out, be an authority, be an expert, be regarded, being called on to help others, make and allow yourself to make a very visible and valuable contribution to your culture and society without being seen. So you can see you have an energetic conflict. Now, the reason you don't want to be seen, okay, there's a good reason for it. I want you to understand that. You know, when we deal with these issues that come up, these inner blocks that interfere with us getting what we want out of life, we see them as problems. We see them as a problem or self-sabotage or procrastination, but that we're only seeing it from the perspective of this part of you that wants this thing to happen. We're not seeing it from the point of view of the energy that says, what are you doing? This is dangerous. I want you to understand, it believes it to be dangerous, maybe even life-threatening if you're seen.
Wow. You know something? When I started this project, and I'm doing the whole thing like, we're safe now. I do a little tapping in the bathroom every morning. I'm like, it's not like before. We're safe now. I'll take over from here. When I first came up with the 369 idea, I had this dream where I was in the forest or in the country, which I now realize was the house in Mississippi. So I don't know how that one. And there was somebody coming in. Anyhow, I was able to grab a gun, a rifle, from where the rifles were kept and run away and keep myself safe. And I wonder if I had that dream triggered when I started this whole book writing. Okay, I'll take it in small bits, if that didn't bring up the fear again or bring it closer to the surface. Because I thought, why am I afraid? Yeah.
Right. Can
you be afraid of something that happened so long ago? I mean, doesn't that get gone?
Well, it gets gone when the trauma is resolved and discharged from the system. Until then, no, it's not gone. It's only been stored. Because if the energy doesn't discharge, right, there's an enormous amount of energy that is generated when we are suffering a life-threatening event. If we're allowed, if the system is allowed to process it normally, meaning you either fight for yourself or you run away, right? Then that's what the energy is there for. It's there to fight or to run. If either one of those happens, the energy is discharged.
Okay, so if you freeze, it doesn't go anywhere.
It doesn't. If you freeze, if you can't run and you can't fight, which is the characteristic of us when we're children with our parents, you can't do either, which is why traumas happen there. The energy has no place to go, and so in order for the system to continue to function, in order to keep it from really dying, because it would freeze itself and just lock up and die, it has to take that energy and store it somewhere in the body. And that is what is a trauma. If you can fight or run, you don't have a trauma. A trauma is when the energy can't get out. Right? And as such, it influences the functioning of the entire system, and over time, it creates a perception of reality. and it begins to see danger where there isn't danger. It gets heightened. It gets more vigilant, right?
Okay.
Especially if you were raised in an environment that wasn't particularly safe, right? It doesn't even have to be a severe trauma, like being abused or something like that. If you just didn't feel safe or you didn't feel appreciated, those create an environment of a trauma as well, because your natural expression of who you are gets inhibited, and so the energy gets stuck away somewhere. So all sorts of things that can, under normal circumstances, there's always a certain amount of nervousness about, I'm going to put my ideas out there. Are people going to like them? I mean, there's part of it. Some of it's just perfectly normal, right? But a normal amount of just kind of nervousness about, exposing yourself, putting yourself out there. I'm an expert. I know how to do this. I can help you. That says something about yourself. What happens is this other energy attaches itself to that. So your reaction now is completely out of proportion. It's inappropriate because this other energy is now projected onto it. And so the threat is not just, people aren't going to like it and I'll get over it. It's no big deal. It's, oh my God, I'm going to die. And so it's trying to keep you from having the exposure to something because it believes it's still in danger.
Okay.
When I say it, I mean, it's just the way the system functions. It's not really an it. I mean, there's not some little creature.
Yeah, I got it.
Right, right. But I often talk to them as if they're it's, because when your soul is fragmented, basically, then you can address it as if it was a separate entity and speak to it, which I have people do during the allowing and other things that I do, to actually focus your attention on it and to ask it the question. It's like we just did, when I said to don't go in your head, you went in your body and immediately you felt it.
Yeah.
Right? It was communicating to you through the body. Now that same process of communication, you can ask it, how do I resolve this? What is it that you are afraid of? And how do I make you feel safe?
How do I make you feel safe?
Right.
Okay.
Because once it feels safe, it discharges the energy. It lets go. There's no need for it to adopt a defensive posture. The system is not stupid. It does not hold on to this stuff because it's fun. It holds on to it because it feels threatened. If it does not feel threatened, boom, it lets go, and transformation happens in an instant. Because there's no need for it any longer. It just releases the energy. But remember, its whole job is to keep you safe. So if it believes that you are not safe, it will not stop 24/7. That's its mission. It's its only reason for existing. So we have to honor that.
So it doesn't trust me?
No, it doesn't. Why should it?
Oh. I've been keeping it safe.
No, it's been keeping you safe.
Oh.
You've been trying to get rid of it because it's getting in the way of you getting what you want.
Oh, okay. So it feels threatened.
Of course. See, it doesn't. When you look at your nervous system, we use the model of the chakras, whatever model you want to use. I don't really care. None of them are true. They're all just a way of looking at it. They're all just a way you can come to understand it. Whenever you look at it, you're basically. You as the conscious center see all of it. These energies can only see a small part.
I see all of it?
Yes, you see all of it.
I do.
Let me demonstrate. Your eyes do not hear, do they?
No.
They know nothing about sound.
No.
To have a conversation with your eye about music would be a waste of time.
Okay.
It has no concept whatsoever, nor will it ever. Right? Your ear knows nothing about light. Talk to about color. Huh? What? Right? But you see all of it, don't you?
Okay.
Right? All of it is available to you. So the energy of defense only sees the energy of defense. That's all it can see. It cannot see that you are acting in its best interest.
How come I can't see why it's upset?
Well, because you're going to have to learn to ask it.
Oh.
You keep just trying to figure it out instead of asking it.
Yeah.
You're thinking about it rather than going to directly to the source. It's really quite simple.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
So what happens then is that we get this idea of the way we want things to be. We have this inner block, and suddenly, okay, now I break out all my little self-help tools, and I'm going to go in and fix the block. Right? So all it feels is another intrusion from the outside that it doesn't trust, that's trying to yet again fix it, change it, make it into something else. And so immediately all the defenses go up. And you go, I don't know, why isn't this technique working? Well, of course it's not going to work. You know, your system is already perfectly defended against it. As I've said 1,000 times, I will say it 1,000 times more. There's only one thing the system has no defense for, and that's unconditional love.
I heard you just say that. I'm trying to think of somebody's show you were on. Judy Anderson.
Right.
And you said that, and this is so funny. I completely forgot to do this, in which I said I was going to start adding on in my morning shower tap. I completely forgot to say I love and accept myself unconditionally in my morning tap to kind of give it a little boost.
Right, and I love and accept my nervous system unconditionally, and I love and accept this defense mechanism unconditionally.
Okay.
Tell me, do you want to turn your defense mechanisms off?
No.
Duh. No, of course not.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. Right. But yet we think so. We're never going to get rid of them. And we wouldn't want to. We'd start walking off of buildings and in front of buses and stuff because there'd be nothing to tell us there was danger. Right?
But you know what? I don't want to walk around like always nervous and jumpy. Like I am a nervous, jumpy person.
That's right, because the nervous system is being triggered by danger that is imaginary.
Okay.
You want it to be triggered by danger that is real, not by danger that is imaginary. That's the problem. It's all of our anticipations and our memories and these ideas and stories we've created that is sending a constant flow of signals of imaginary dangers to the nervous system that it is responding to. And so it thinks there's danger when there isn't.
Yeah, and this is very weary.
And it's cold. Yes, of course, because it's in a constant state of stress. It's in a constant state of vigilance. Right. Your job is to first really understand that there isn't any danger, and then to communicate that. Right. And the way you communicate that is by not being dangerous.
Oh my God! Wow. But I don't think I'm being dangerous, but apparently I am.
Well, every time you get the idea that your nervous system is doing something wrong and you need to fix it, you have become dangerous.
Oh, okay.
You have become threatening. You have been saying, this is broken, I've got to fix it. Right? Remember your parents did nothing but try to alter your behavior since the time you were born, right? Mm-hmm. Right. So what's the difference?
Oh, I'm doing the same thing.
You're doing exactly the same thing.
Okay.
Love and acceptance means love and acceptance as it is right now.
I'm confused. If I love and accept, but I want to stop being fearful all the time and jumpy.
If you love and accept, it has nothing to fear.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I know
yeah.
it sounds probably logical to you, but
Yeah.
it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, well, we don't, yeah, because we think, oh, if I accept it as it is, then it's going to stay the same. No, if we accept it as it is, the fear goes away and it allows itself to become what it was actually meant to become. It drops the protective behavior and it adopts expressive behavior. It stops keeping you from the world. It starts engaging you more with the world because all of that energy has now been released and freed up to be who you are.
You know, silently, I just asked it, why don't you want us to write this book? And it said, it doesn't want me to be shamed.
Good. Good. Keep that dialogue going. Now just go a little bit further with, and I'm going to have to get on to the next caller. But
Right, I understand, yeah.
But yes, I get so involved in this. I just looked at the clock and said, "Whoa, okay, it's not a session; it's my radio show."
Well, thank you, because I get something from all these too.
Continue to just engage with that. And now what you use tapping for is to help the system release the energy and tell the story, not to fix it. Drop all your intention to fix. Just drop it. This is communication.
Okay.
That's it. Once it knows it's free, once it knows it's safe, it'll tell you the whole story. Once you know what it's the shame that it's afraid of, you can make sure that shame doesn't happen. It's satisfied, you're satisfied, and all that energy now becomes yours to actually get the book written.
Okay.
And this sounds like a book that needs to be written.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya.
Alrighty.
What a delight. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. We got my man Don on the line.
What a great conversation you guys were having. Tanya, I want to read your book too. You're awesome. The world needs your book.
Yes, clearly.
But it's so funny. I was just listening to someone being interviewed today talking about people that had physical damage in their brains that were unable to recognize danger.
Mm.
And what a horrific life they lead.
Yes.
You know, and so, yeah, I mean, I really see the importance in that. I was wondering if maybe you might speak to the, because I really resonate with what Tanya was saying, and I get a lot of the same kind of things that happen to me whenever I start a new project, especially when it's kind of, forging new ground, as it were. Mm-hmm. And I always find myself going into a lot of other task behavior that seems to kind of try to guide me away from it. Sort of sounds similar to what she was experiencing. And I've noticed that the worried mind tends to have this ability to kind of just loop over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And how do you any techniques or strategies to kind of to quell the worried mind, to sort of soothe it a little? Or a technique that I've tried of late that sort of works for me is kind of think about the time after the thing I'm worried about, or, or sort of in a forward mode outside of the danger or something like that. Or does any of this make sense? Or?
Yes, absolutely. Here's what's happening. It's actually not just the mind, because the mind is the mind doesn't loop unless there's a reason for it to loop, unless there's an ongoing pressure for it to find an answer to a problem. The way it actually works is there's a circuit between your sensations and your environment, your emotions, and your mind. They're really a continuum. It's a circle. They're all kind of present at the same time. So something in the environment, whether you're introducing it by introducing a change to the system, or a change comes from the environment, or something from the environment, triggers the nervous system that it needs to respond in some way. Now, when it's confronted with something new, it's particularly stressful because it doesn't have anything from the past to model it against. And the more new it is, the more foreign it is, the more stressful it's going to be. Because the very first thing it does is start comparing it to what happened, what's going on in the past, to see if it can figure out a strategy to deal with it, right? So the emotions requiring some kind of, now look, if it's there's a bear coming, there's a saber-toothed tiger about to bite my ass, there's no discussion. The body knows exactly what to do. But if it's something that isn't of an imminent threat, but is just kind of threatening, it becomes a discussion with the cognitive parts. And so a request from the nervous system goes to the brain, which is also part of the nervous system, saying, how do I handle this? What do I do with this? And if the brain doesn't know what to do with it, the message goes back to the emotions, I don't know. To which the emotions react, what do you mean you don't know? The brain says, I don't know. Well, what do you mean? You gotta have it. And the brain starts searching and keeps searching. I mean, it'll search an empty filing cabinet. And I've been in that situation where you look in the same place 8 times for the thing and you know it's not there. You're looking, right. You just keep searching through the empty drawer. This is the energetic loop that's gotten in place. Now, the way you stop that is by acknowledging that you don't have an answer. If you have no answer, there's no need to search any longer. Oh, I don't know. Now that.
So at my little strategy where I try to lead my mind to the after event or past that, it becomes the answer. Well, there'll be a time after it, or there's some resolution, there's something.
You found an answer. That is correct. Yes. And so it's satisfied for a minute and it shuts off the loop. So if you just back up and go, I don't have an answer, and you allow yourself to just be with the discomfort of the energy system feeling like it has to do something and not knowing what to do, but you've short-circuited the loop. And at this point, if you just sit with the I don't know what to do, you've just opened yourself up for an answer to come from outside the system.
Right.
Because all answers, all the fresh inspiration comes to the mind, not from it. It comes from this place outside. It actually comes from the conscious center of you and informs the energy system. And then the new idea is born, and suddenly there's a new solution. It could be a total innovation. It could be something very, very small. It could be something you didn't see before. But for the circuit, that looping circuit survives only because we insist on having an answer rather than being willing to be with the discomfort of not knowing.
Yeah. Wow.
If you're willing to be with the don't know mind, there's no looping in the don't know mind. Because there's, I don't know, I don't have an answer. The search ends.
Yeah, see, my solution's always been giving it a surrogate answer, like, well, you figured it out before, the confidence in the solution, all the stuff that sustains that,
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and it's good. There's nothing wrong with that because it actually does calm down. And the reality is that you always do find a solution. The solution does always come, right? Because that is the reality. But it's actually a deeper, more spiritual step to go beyond just telling you it's okay, the answer is going to come, to it's okay that I don't have an answer. That's a deeper level of surrender. It's a deeper spiritual place to be willing to be with that don't know mind. Because the answer can be, the answer has the opportunity then to be completely transformative. The more you're with the don't know mind, the bigger the answer can be. Because because if you have a willingness to really be with the don't know, it means you're actually going to look at every answer that comes, and you're not just going to grab on, but you're going to let yourself absorb it. That's how I did the those huge software projects that I did back in the 80s and 90s. I was willing, when everybody else was feeling the pressure, oh my God, I'm going to lose my job, and throwing in solutions that I knew weren't going to work, I was quite willing to just sit, sometimes for very long periods of time, with no answer, so that the answer would come. And when the answer came, I knew it. I didn't settle for one that got me out of the comfort. Right? I said, no, this is inadequate. I'm going to stay with the discomfort. That don't know mind is incredibly powerful, because it opens you up to the entire universe.
Wow.
You completely step outside of all of your models if you're willing to be with don't know. Because the don't know is don't know. Even my models are suspect. Even my context by which I judge the answer is suspect. I mean, it's a total rebirth.
Well, if there's one thing I've learned to expect from you, it's a whole lot of don't know when I'm done. Because yeah, you're right. I mean, I think that I want to embrace the don't know more than the fake. Yeah, I mean, that was brilliant. That's brilliant. Thank you so much for that.
Thanks, man. All righty.
Q&A queue is cleared.
So anybody else would like to press *6 at this point? I'm happy to spend the whole show just chatting with people live. That last one is really excellent. It's really where this whole thing goes. You know, the conversation with Tanya, which was a great illustration of allowing, and how I work with the inner energies within us to actually make friends with what's going on inside of us in the process of integration, and this don't know, because to even to address the energies that are within you, you have to go with it. You know what? I don't know. We have so many ideas that we have these things all figured out, and they're just a bunch of concepts. They're just a bunch of thoughts we made up that they really don't stand up to scrutiny. So when you ask, why is this happening? You know, why am I having a hard time writing this book? Why am I procrastinating? Why is my head spinning? When we ask the question why, we're always looking for a mental answer. We're looking for an explanation of why it's happening. What we really want is an answer to, how do I actually change it? How do I get free? How do I know peace? That's really the question. And the why is it happening is the wrong question to get the answer you really want, which is peace, awareness, awakening. And to take that same approach that I don't know the answer, therefore there's no need for me to think about it, even internally, opens you up to coming to a spontaneous knowing of who you are. That really is what the sudden enlightenment school, or Zen, is about. It's the sudden, direct insight that goes beyond all of your ideas, all of your context, completely out of nowhere. Suddenly, this intuitive quantum leap gets made, where there's a level of understanding that is direct and undeniable. It's self-evident and self-luminous, and you didn't arrive at it as knowledge. It just suddenly sprang up, and there was clarity. And to provide ourselves with the space that can happen is really my mission. I mean, that's really what all this work is about. That's what allowing is about. It is to get so comfortable with the idea of not knowing anything, that every moment is fresh. It's not that you're going to walk around in a catatonic state and forget how to drink, or you're going to forget how to change your pants, right? I mean, it's all of the stories, the context, the ideas of that we think we understand how the universe works, we throw them all out, and instead we go direct. The experience itself, the visceral, gut level experience of life as it is. It's a completely different way of being. It's not heady at all. And those of you who are listening, I know I have a lot of people listening who are students of Advaita Vedanta or non-duality. Enlightenment is not mental. It is not a mental state. It is way beyond the mind. It's actually closer to the body than it is the mind, because it is a direct, visceral experience. Yes, there is clarity of mind. You know without actually knowing how you know. You just know. I love the term self-luminous. It illuminates itself. There's no light switch you have to turn on. It's kind of batteries included. It's just the forever burning flame. So I would encourage everybody to be willing to really be humbly and patiently with the feeling of not knowing. Yes, it is uncomfortable. It can even feel threatening. Because obviously, if you don't know what to do, you're very, very vulnerable. But believe me, if a real imminent danger was to happen, your body knows exactly what to do. It will not stop to have a discussion and ask your permission. It will just do what it needs to do. It will get out of the way of the danger, if the danger is real and imminent. The thing is that we overwhelm it with danger that is completely made up. Right now, everybody sitting and listening to this show is not in any danger whatsoever. None. Right in this moment. Which means everybody listening should be in a state of perfect peace and contentment. You should be like a cat laying in the sun, licking itself and purring. If you're not, then your nervous system is actually responding to a self-generated imaginary threat. Period. You've probably become so used to it, you think, oh, I'm just high-strung, a little stressed. Oh, I always feel like that. Why? Because you can't accept the possibility that almost all of the time you are actually safe. We're so indoctrinated into projecting into the future this perfect state that's going to exist in the future. Or saying that horrible things that happened to me in the past are making me this way now. That we completely ignore the obvious fact that right now, everything is okay. Everything is just fine. Everything is just the way it needs to be. Nothing needs to be different. It is absolutely pristine, perfect, right this moment. And I can hear every one of your minds going, yeah, but what about, and what about, which is all the story. If those thoughts weren't there, would there be anything wrong? So there's not anything wrong, really. There's just a bunch of thoughts. I would suggest that a much better place to be is the don't know mind. The don't know mind is empty of thoughts. You got any questions? That spark any interest in anybody? Like to Actually, on the list here, see some new people that have never been on the show before. Glad to have you all here tonight with me. It's really great. It's really nice to be just sitting here and answering any question I feel like and not have to be an engaging host for a guest. I like my times alone. So anybody would like to press *6 and join me for a bit of conversation, I'd love to have you. Otherwise, I'm going to pop on over to this other window here and read a question from somebody who wrote in earlier today. And I think I'm going to, let's take, this one looks like it came in first, so I'll try to take it in the order that they came. It says, hi, my question is probably a bit about spirituality, meditation, and just life in general. Well, that pretty much covers it. As long as we're not talking about life insurance. Yeah, I can get all these. I'm wondering how we can cultivate more energy or vitality, so to speak, in everyday life. What practices of meditation, allowing, or whatever else can we basically achieve and maintain for as long as possible that wonderful state you sometimes feel at its highest vibration? All right, well, the first practice to maintain that high state is to let go of trying to maintain that high state. One of the big delusions of spirituality and meditation that the object is to be in a state of perpetual bliss. It is not so. The ultimate achievement is a state of perfect stillness, which is neither blissful nor painful. And from that place, be able to experience the entire range of human experience, the blissful and the grievous. We get very attached to our emotional states as if they were the ultimate achievement of our life, that somehow the aim of spirituality was to produce a constantly high spiritual vibration. It's not. Vibration, by definition, is an undulation. It is a frequency. It is an up and a down, a peak and a valley. No peak and no valley, no vibration. So yes, there are frequencies, right? But if everything was a high note, you wouldn't have any high notes. Everything would be the same note, you know? We love the low notes, don't we? I love that when that car pulls up next to me at the light, and my whole car shakes because their bass is so heavy. When you talk about the vibration, we're talking about the natural vibration of life. You are the background in which the vibration takes place. You are like the air through which the sound passes. You have no vibration yourself. You're not an object that vibrates. Consciousness perceives vibration. It receives the vibration. It doesn't vibrate. Awareness is merely aware. It is not a thing that is aware. It is simply awareness itself. It's kind of the ether through which it all passes. And it itself remains completely unaffected by what passes through it. So the deep practice of meditation is letting go of all your attachments to any particular state. And that means attachment to the highs and aversions for the low. To lose the attachments for the high and the aversions to the low is to end suffering. And life goes on exactly the way it was before, only without suffering. What we're really trying to attain is a state of bliss, that is, a state of peace, a state of being without suffering. not a high. Highs can never be sustained, nor should they be. There's no need to, any more than lows should be sustained and can't be. But if we try to get rid of the lows, then we lose the highs as well. It's all about contrast, the yin and the yang, the dark and the light. Neither is better or worse than the other. Matter of fact, they're interdependent. You can't have one without the other. You have no light if there's no dark. There's nothing there. There's nothing to define it. It's the contrast which give it definition. To do that is to cultivate the energy. What gets released, for a lot of people, they think, well, then I'm just going to be indifferent towards it. No, absolutely not. You're going to be even more engaged in it, because it becomes more playful, it becomes more easy, it becomes more natural, it becomes more passionate, because there's less fear, there's less suffering, there's less concern about the outcome. There's less disappointment if it doesn't work out the way you want it to. Because you see, it's a continuum. It just hasn't worked out yet. Because it's going to hit the bottom, it's going to go peak and go back up. It always does. And so those low times, those times of emptiness, those times where there's just kind of a dearth of opportunity, well, you just be with them. They'll pass. And the high times, the times of great joy and celebration, just be with them, because they too will just pass. Everything will just pass, except you. And the thing to note, this beautiful thing to note, is that because you can watch both, because you are capable of seeing the highs and the lows, the dark and the light, you are capable of seeing all of the contrast. It means you are beyond all the contrast. You are bigger than all the contrast. You are so big, in fact, you can't be seen, but you can see everything else. You have no blind spots. You can see all the variation because you are bigger than the variation. It's a pretty cool place to be. So if anybody has any questions about that, I hope I explained that. The essence of my allowing course is to bring you to the point where you completely let go of any attachment to what you think it should be. And you sink into the moment. And at that point, when all the thoughts about what you think it should be disappear, it appears as it actually is. And you find a bliss that is not a high, a peace that just is unutterable. *6 if you'd like to ask a question. If not, I'm going to check the mailbox here for another question. I'm actually going to make the text bigger because my eyes are getting tired. *6, going once, going twice. All right, on to this question. It's going to be hard to answer this in the few minutes I have left. I'm just going to summarize it. Thank you for all that you have done for me. You're very, very welcome. Thank you for everything you've done for me. I'm having a problem trying to forgive my older brother for things that were done to my younger brother, who is developmentally disabled. After my older brother spent all of my younger brother's inheritance on himself, he's asking everyone else in the family to take responsibility for costs of supervision, medical, and other things that my other brother needs every day. Older brother assumed my disabled brother would not physically be here with us at this point, and he would spend his money on himself. But disabled brother loves his older brother, shows him his appreciation for his help. Just hurts. I'm sure it does. I'm trying to do the best I can without showing any emotion. I'm not sure you're going to be able to do that, and I sure hope you don't. How can I come to terms with this anger for my older brother who stole all this stuff from his disabled younger brother? It's a really great question. He mentions that he practices Kundalini and the stuff that he's learned from me on law of attraction, the chakras and the like. Okay, forgiveness. I'm going to give you forgiveness in a nutshell. In the original Greek that the Bible was written in, the word forgiveness does not mean what we think it means. In our modern definition, it's come to mean pardon, which means somebody's done something, some offense. They deserve to be punished, but they are going to be forgiven. They're going to be pardoned from their sin. The original meaning of the word actually is to be found not guilty, to be vindicated of wrongdoing, to be found innocent. I would ask you a question. Is your younger developmentally disabled brother, do you hold him in contempt? Do you blame him for being developmentally challenged? I know you don't. He can't help it. So why do you blame your older brother for his particular version of being developmentally disabled? Just because it took a different form. There's a great story in the Hindu tradition. There's a scorpion walks up to the side of a pond and asks a frog, look, I really need to get to the other side of the pond. I'm desperate. It's really important. I don't. It's going to be a huge trouble for me. Could you take me? Could you give me a ride over to the other side? And the frog says, what, are you kidding? You're a scorpion. You're going to kill me. And he goes, no, really, I'm desperate. I promise I won't. I absolutely won't do it. I'm going to, I need this. God, please help me. And he was just so sincere and so desperate that the frog said, well, okay, I'm going to help you. So the scorpion hops on his back. The frog takes him across the pond. He gets off. The scorpion crawls off his back, turns around and says, oh, thank you so much. I am so appreciative to you. And then he stings him. And the frog, totally stunned, as he can feel the poison going through his veins and he's about to die, he says, but why? And the scorpion says, you know, I really am grateful, but I can't help it. It's what I am. You know, when sharks eat seals, I don't get offended. I don't like it. I would try to protect the seal, but I'm not offended. It's what they are. As reprehensible as your older brother's behavior is, as much as your younger brother needed to be protected from it and wasn't adequately, and as horrible as it is to look, I can find him innocent simply because he was the scorpion and the frog. He has his own particular form of being developmentally disabled. To inflict pain on someone else without the empathetic ability to feel the suffering you are causing is the cause of all of the evil in the world. And it is an inability to feel. It is the shutting down of the heart chakra, that it cannot touch others. And it is a painfully lonely place to be. And when the time does come when the reality of, when the heart chakra does begin to open, and the reality of the cruelty that he has inflicted on your brother hits him, the suffering he is going to experience is going to be beyond what you can imagine. There is no deeper remorse than to actually see the suffering, the irreversible suffering we have caused others. But folks, that is also the source of our wisdom, because every one of us has done it. Maybe not so obviously, but we have all done it. I hope that answers your question, Kevin. And if not, please tell me more, and I will do my best to give it some more depth, give it some more nuances. This is an important one, because to truly learn to forgive is to be willing to be with things as they are, accept things as they are. And that doesn't mean you don't protect yourself from it, of course. I don't go swimming with sharks. I don't do it. Why? Because I know who they are and I know what they'll do. But I don't blame them for what they are. This is wisdom. I want to thank you all so much for being with me. I so enjoyed tonight's show. Karen and I are speaking about doing this more often, so I have an opportunity to just act one-on-one with people and get to be with my peeps. So thank you all for being here live with me tonight, and thank you all who will be listening to this on the Law of Attraction Radio Network. As always, this is a great joy for me. So by all means, send your questions to LOA20.com, 20.com, and stay tuned for a new Inner Circle Masterclass that I'm going to have coming, where I'm going to give a few people an opportunity to go as deeply into these subjects as we can possibly go, as I make plans in the future to be curtailing my one-on-one coaching that is just kind of becoming way too demanding on my time, and I'm going to be focusing more on groups. So by all means, anybody who is interested in participating in the Inner Circle or a master class, please just send me an email to g@gpwalsh.com. I'd like to get an idea for the people. It's going to be a small class that I'm planning, maybe 12 people tops. And so if it's something you'd be interested in, I am going to be interviewing people for it, because I am looking for a certain level of depth and commitment to participate. So if you think this might be for you, send me an email, g@gpwalsh.com. I do look forward to speaking with you. So thank you all again, and I bid you good night.